is obviously visible, everything which is easily seen by an external person. Covert is something which is not visible to a person. Like, for example, the sentiments and beliefs connected with it. And one very important concept which I couldn't do in my earlier class was that of ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism is a concept given by William Graham Sumner, basically where we think that our own culture is superior to the remaining all cultures. So basically, ethnocentrism, ethno means our group, centrism means giving importance to our group. And we also have another important concept called as cultural relativism, where we are trying to talk about every aspect of our behavior, our norms, our values, they are related to our culture. So if we have to understand certain beliefs, value system, you have to understand that in connection with a particular culture. And many aspects of our day-to-day understanding is also determined by our culture. So ethnocentrism concept was given by William Graham Sumner, and Franz Boas gave the concept of cultural relativism. This is what we discussed in our previous class. We discussed about tribes, definition, characteristics. We also have discussed about what is culture and characteristics of culture. Friends, now it's already 10 o'clock. Now I will start today's discussion. In today's class, we will try to summarize and understand about cultural processes and theories of culture, which is Unit 5 and Unit 6 of your study material. So these are some certain very important concepts, dear friends, where we are trying to understand what is a cultural trait, cultural parallels, ethos and ethos. So cultural trait is the smallest element of culture. Smallest element of culture means what? It can be as small as a safety pin. It can be as small as this bindi. You know, even this is part of our culture. We will see Europeans don't wear this bindi, right? Bindi kinda kumkum pet kunnam. Even this is part of your culture. So cultural trait is nothing but the smallest element of, and when all these cultural traits, when they come together, it becomes a culture complex. When all these traits, they come together, it becomes a culture complex. Then what is a cultural parallel? In cultural parallel, you know, in different cultures, so many things, they grow parallelly. They may not be in physical contact with each other. For example, Indian culture and Western culture, these are two different cultures. Here many things can grow parallelly, and that is what is called as cultural parallel. Ethos is the emotional quality of any particular culture. Good morning, Satya Sai. Good morning, Dhanu. I just saw your message. So cultural ethos and ethos. So when I'm saying ethos, ethos is the emotional aspect of a culture. Every culture, it has got certain emotional aspects. It has got certain cognitive aspects, means which is connected with our thought process. So the emotional aspects of a culture is called as ethos, and the cognitive element of a culture is called as ethos. Ethos ante oka culture lo unna emotional vishayalu, manamu ఎందుకు చేస్తున్నాము, ఎమోషనల్ విషయాలు, మన ఫీలింగ్స్ తో సంబంధించిన విషయాలు కల్చరల్ ఇథోస్ కింద వస్తుంది. ఇడోస్ కింద కాగ్నిటివ్ ఎలిమెంట్స్ వస్తాయి. కాగ్నిటివ్ ఎలిమెంట్స్ అంటే మనము దాని గురించి లాజికల్ వేలో ఆలోచిస్తున్నాం. Now, what are the other important cultural processes? Now, let us very quickly have a look. In this, we will discuss slightly in detail about evolution and diffusion. So these are the 5 critical cultural processes. Evolution is what? It is change from simple to complex. Mana Sanskriti kuda simple to complex move avutundi. Human society has evolved from simple to complex. Okay. Diffusion is what? Like for example, if we all are sitting in one room, okay, and I spray a perfume in one corner of the room, you will all get the smell of that perfume or not? You all will get, I'm very sure. So how are you getting that smell? We are getting that smell because the perfume particles, they have diffused into air, and that air is coming to us along with that good aroma of the perfume. So diffusion is nothing but spreading of cultural elements. Please switch off, Ajay. Okay. So diffusion is spreading of cultural elements, where cultural elements from one culture, they spread from one part to the other. For example, so many aspects of Western culture, they have come to India through the process of diffusion. What is acculturation? Acculturation is the process whereby we are acquiring the cultural characteristics of another culture through direct contact and interaction. For example, friends, British rule. We were ruled by Britishers almost all for 200 years, right? So we have acquired many elements of British culture through the process of acculturation. I hope I'm clear, friends. If you have any doubts, you can unmute yourself and ask, or you can post your questions in the chat box also. So acculturation is what? It is the process of acquiring culture through direct contact. In assimilation, what is happening? See, for example, right now I'm having this tea. Okay. So in this tea, after the tea is made, will you be able to differentiate where is sugar, where is milk, where is water, where is tea powder? You will not be able to differentiate. Everything is assimilated. So in cultural assimilation, what is happening is two cultural groups, they come into direct contact and they mix up so much with each other that you will not be able to differentiate them. For example, always remember this tea example. After the tea is made, you will not be able to differentiate between water, milk, sugar, tea powder. Similarly, in cultural assimilation also, you will not be able to differentiate because they get so much absorbed with each other. What is accommodation? Accommodation is also a cultural process whereby, we adjust. Like, for example, friends, we all know that in every culture, due to some ideological differences, there may be conflict. Okay. So when the conflict, you're trying to adjust to that conflict, that is called as accommodation. ఎప్పుడు కూడా ఇప్పుడు ఏదైనా కల్చర్ లో కాన్ఫ్లిక్టింగ్ ఎలిమెంట్స్ ఉంటాయి కదా, ఘర్షణ ఉంటుంది. అయితే ఘర్షణకి అడ్జస్ట్ చేసి యాక్సెప్ట్ చేసి దానికి సంబంధించిన డిఫికల్టీస్ ఓవర్కమ్ చేయడం అనేది కూడా accommodation. Am I clear, friends? Any questions, any doubts? Any questions on this? Evolution is from simple to complex. Diffusion is spreading of cultural elements. Acculturation is acquiring other culture through direct contact. Please remember British rule example here. Assimilation, remember tea example, where tea, all the cultural elements, they are mixing with each other to such an extent that you will not be able to differentiate. And accommodation. Accommodation is where you are adjusting with the cultural elements or conflicting elements of the culture. So Satya Sai says there is no doubts. Fine. So I'm proceeding then. Now moving ahead to the next part of our. Here I will be talking about. These are the two very, very important elements of culture, my dear friends. What are they? One is One second, one second. One is evolution and the other is diffusion. So what is this evolution? Evolution, as I told you, it is process of moving from simple to complex. Diffusion is spreading of cultural elements. So in evolution, I have put here two names, Tyler and Morgan. These are the two very prominent contributors for the understanding of process of evolution. Diffusion is what? It is spread of cultural elements, and in this there are three very important approaches. What are they? Culture Crease school, culture area approach, British diffusionism. I will explain you what is this one by one. So as I've told you, evolution is nothing but gradual change and development from simple to complex. And basically this concept of cultural evolution, it is inspired by Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin, in his very popular book, The Evolution of Species, which was published in 1859, he has spoken about, concept of evolution. In sociology, yes? Someone saying something? In sociology, we have brought this concept of evolution. We have taken this concept of evolution from Charles Darwin, and this was taken by Herbert Spencer. Whenever you are talking about culture, my dear friends, definitely evolution has to be taken into consideration. In my previous class, I told you, if you have to understand anthropology, culture is one of the most important elements of anthropology. And if you have to understand culture thoroughly, you have to understand how it has evolved. ఏ రకంగా కల్చర్ స్టార్ట్ అయింది, ఓవర్ పీరియడ్ ఆఫ్ టైం దాంట్లో ఎలాంటి మార్పులు వచ్చాయి, అవన్నీ కూడా మనము ఎవల్యూషన్ ప్రాసెస్ లో అర్థం చేసుకోవడానికి ప్రయత్నిస్తాం. E.B. Tyler and Morgan, very prominent people in this. And psychic unity of mankind. Now, what is this psychic unity of mankind? What it believes is, if man is living in different parts of in a similar situation or with a similar problem, like for example, floods problem is there in India. Let us say floods problem also come in California and US. So how are you addressing that problem? So what evolution thinkers believe is, similar problem, man would think out more or less similar solutions. So this is one of the very important element in the process of evolution. And from simple to complex and differentiated. Now, can anyone tell me what is the, what is single cell organism called? Single cell organism came cheptamu. You all have read this in the school. Quickly, let us not waste time. Like when suddenly class off, my day is dissatisfied. What is that single cell organism called? Meeru answer any idea? Single cell organism came antaru. Then answer type chesanu chat box lo.
Ma'am, amoeba, ma'am.
Very good. And what you said, I have typed. Thank you so much for responding. Previous slide, Amma? First, second, third slides. Huh? Someone has posted in the chat box to show the previous slide. I will show that in the end of the class. I will run all the slides again. So single cell amoeba, very right. So from single cell amoeba, organism has evolved to million cell human beings. Am I right? We have evolved from simple to complex. In amoeba, that single cell used to perform all the functions, right? So similarly, when society was simple, imagine when man was living in mountains, all the functions of the human society, human living, it was performed by those group of people only. Then when we moved ahead, think of Indus Valley civilization. During Indus Valley civilization, temples played a very important role, and they performed all the government related functions, religious functions, law and order functions. Everything was performed by the temples only. But today, you see, human society has further evolved. So as evolution takes place, differentiation of functions will also take place. What do you mean by differentiation of functions? That different parts start playing different functions. ఒకప్పుడు ఇండస్ వ్యాలీ సివిలైజేషన్ లో టెంపులే అన్ని సమాజానికి సంబంధించిన ముఖ్యమైన ఫంక్షన్స్ అన్ని టెంపుల్సే పర్ఫామ్ చేసేవి. కానీ స్లోలీ సమాజం ఇవాల్వ్ అవ్వడం వల్ల ఏమైంది, టుడే గవర్నమెంట్ రోల్ ఈస్ డన్ బై సంబడి ఎల్స్, religious role is done by somebody else. So functions are differentiated. So evolution also leads to differentiation of function. Henry Morgan, he has spoken extensively about evolution, where he is saying that human society has evolved from savagery to barbaric stage to civilized stage. According to Morgan, these are the important stages of evolution. Similarly, Tyler also, while talking about evolution, he has spoken extensively about how marriage system has evolved over a period of time. In today's time, we have monotheist marriage, monogamy. Basically, in religion, it is monotheism. In marriage, it is monogamy. Monogamy means marrying a single spouse. But earlier, there was polygamy. So human marriages also have evolved. Now, when you talk about cultural diffusion, this is also very important process of cultural growth and cultural change. In evolution, we are saying that everything is evolving. అంటే ఏ తర్వాత బి వస్తుంది, బి తర్వాత సి వస్తుంది, సి తర్వాత డి వస్తుందని ఆ ప్యాటర్న్ లో ఎవల్యూషన్ అవుతుందని ఎవల్యూషన్ థింకర్స్ చెప్పారు. ఎవల్యూషనరీ థింకర్స్, దే సెడ్ దట్ ది ఎంటైర్ గ్రోత్ is only in terms of, I will show you all the slides, please don't worry. The evolution growth. See, this is the first slide of today. Evolutionary growth, evolutionary growth happens in a line according to evolutionary thinkers. But we know that social changes will not happen in one line. This is the first slide. This is the second slide. Cultural growth and change can be haphazard also. It is always not in the line. Please follow my hand movements. Cultural evolution is not always straight like this. It can also happen haphazardly. So diffusion thinkers, they said that like the cultural change may not have always a unilinear pattern. So they criticized the evolutionary approach and they came up with the diffusion approach. In diffusion approach, as I gave you the example of perfume, okay? When I spray a perfume, it spreads. So anything, it can be invented in any part of the world that spreads throughout the world. So diffusion thinkers, they criticized the evolutionary approach and they came up with this concept of diffusion. So in diffusion, what is happening is it is transmission of culture throughout, and it is a two-way process. Two-way process means what? Like, see, for example, Indian society, it is influenced by Western culture, Western society. Similarly, many elements of Indian culture, they have gone to the other parts of the world also. For example, if you take yoga, now entire world is celebrating yoga, am I right? On June 21st, the entire world is celebrating yoga. So it means the concept of yoga has diffused from India to other parts of the world, from Western Europe, from Eastern Europe, from America, from Brazil, from Portuguese. We have also taken so many elements from that culture also. So this is diffusion. And this is a very important source of cultural growth. Have you taken the screenshot of all the screens, Amma? I have shown you all the screens. You were asking for screenshots, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, child. Okay. So I hope so far it is clear. If you have any doubts, any questions, you can ask me. Now, as I told you, friends, in diffusion, I will take you back to this slide. These are the three very important approaches: culture crease, culture area, and diffusion school. Now, first let me talk about what is this culture crease school. Culture crease basically means a circle. It is a circle. So, what culture crease says is, like, I will just introduce one slide here so that you can understand better. I can use this as a, so probably I'm not able to find out. Anyways, culture crease is like this circle. I hope this new slide is visible to all of you. So, దీనిలో మనం ఏమంటున్నాము? Cluster of functionally related culture traits specific to historical time, they diffuse out of a region which they evolve. Now, see, for example, we know that our globe is in circular form. Okay, here we are not discussing geographically what it is. By and large, if you see globe, it is in a circular form. So what this culture crease school is saying is, whatever, like certain things, they, let us say they develop here. కొన్ని అంశాలు ఇక్కడ డెవలప్ అవుతుంది. అయితే whatever develops here, it will also be carried to the other parts of the globe also. So culture crease means what developed here, this part of the circle, that will be diffused to the other parts of the culture also, other parts of the world also. It will diffuse, it will spread. So in culture crease school, we are believing that culture develops in the form of a cultural circle. Different cultures develop at different points of time, and in different parts of the culture, they will all diffuse from one another. For example, ikkada okati develop, wait, I will show you. ఎప్పుడు కూడా డయాగ్రామాటికల్లీ మనం చూపిస్తే అది ఇంకా క్లారిటీ వస్తుంది దాంట్లో. Something, let us say something developed here. Okay, it will move from this part. Let us say this developed in 6th century AD. Okay, now by 7th century AD, it is moving to this particular place. ఇక్కడ నుంచి ఇది ఇక్కడికి వెళ్తుంది by the process of diffusion. So basically, in culture crease school, what we are saying is cultural elements, they develop in different parts of the world at different points of time, and they diffuse from one place to the other. That is what is the concept of culture crease. These are the three very prominent names: Robert Fritz Grabner, Wilhelm Schmidt, and Bernhard Ankermann. These three people, they have written extensively about culture crease school. Am I clear, friends? If you have any doubts, post it in the chat box. So we have discussed about what is evolution, what is diffusion, what is acculturation, what is assimilation, what is accommodation. Evolution is simple to complex. Diffusion, there are three schools. Culture crease school. Culture crease means anything. It is a cultural circle. Culture crease means it is a German word. Another is culture area approach. Culture area approach was developed by Clark Whistler. See the name, Clark Whistler, and he was also inspired by Franz Boas. Ikkada Boas, just Boas kakunda, Franz Boas. So what is this culture area? Culture area means certain elements develop in that particular area. Now I'm asking you all one question. If I ask you, where did yoga emerge? What will be your answer? Yoga ekkad start ayinde?
India lona ma'am.
Very good. In fact, there are so many versions of yoga. If I ask you, where did Industrial Revolution take place? What will you say?
It may be France, like England.
Yes, yes. So thank you for responding. See, I'm not testing your general awareness. You all are very intelligent students. My only thing is to help you understand that different things, they develop in different areas. Now see, for instance, in today's time, if you ask anybody which is the most technologically developed country, people will say Germany. So that is a culture area in terms of technology. If you ask, where did yoga develop? Yoga birthplace is India. India is also in a way a very strong territory with regard to spiritual development. Right, friends? So culture area means in different areas, different things develop artistically, technologically. For example, if I ask you, in India, for example, if I ask you, where is Kathakali, which place Kathakali belongs to, which place Bhangra belongs to. So these are all culture areas. So ఒక్కొక్క ఏరియాలో ఒక్కొక్క cultural element develop కావచ్చు. Like say for instance, if you talk about glass bangles, Firozabad is most popular area for making of glass bangles. So that is also kind of a cultural area. So culture area approach, what Whistler and Bose are trying to say is, culture develops in a particular area, it evolves in that particular area, and also it spreads to other parts of the world also. So when it is spreading, okay, like for example, if in India, yoga developed, okay, now yoga has gone to other parts of the world also. But in the process of that expansion, in the process of that spread, their local elements will also come into picture. అయితే last point చూడండి, culture trait లో especially, culture will not be able to travel for long distances as it is. దానిలో local area elements కూడా దానిలో యాడ్ అవుతుంది. For example, the way you play Batkama in a rural village in Telangana and the way you play Batkama in United States of America, there will be slight difference. You can ask me, Vinita, why that difference is there? That difference is there basically because when a cultural norm or a value or a festival or a tradition is done in some other part of the world, there will be slight variation. Certain local elements get added to that. So culture area approach is also one of the ways through which our culture develops. The third one is British diffusionism or British diffusionists. Dinlo, there are basically two very popular thinkers, Eliot Smith and W.J. Perry. What are they saying is, everything, now listen to me very carefully, everything related with culture, it's developed in Egypt. మానవ సంస్కృతికి సంబంధించిన అన్ని అంశాలు ఈజిప్ట్ లోనే పుట్టిందని ఇలియట్ స్మిత్ ఇంకా పెరీ అంటున్నారు. యూ కెన్ డెఫినెట్లీ ఆస్క్ మీ, వినీత మీరు ఏం చెప్తున్నారు? నేను చెప్పట్లే, ఇలియట్ స్మిత్ అండ్ డబ్ల్యూజే పెరీ అన్నారు. దట్ ఈస్ వై దే ఆర్ ఆల్సో కాల్డ్ యాజ్ ఈజిప్టాలజిస్ట్. అండ్ వాట్ దే ఫీల్ ఇస్, Egypt is culturally very, very predominant, and whatever has developed in the entire world, its origin is Egypt. If you can see, where is Egypt in the geography of the world? It is one of the prominent countries in Africa subcontinent. So according to these two, Smith and Perry, everything is diffused and the point of origin is Egypt. This is another way of diffusion. And another very important element in culture is what, dear friends? Patterns of culture. This concept was given by Ruth Benedict. You can see her picture also, who was an American anthropologist and folklorist. So what is this patterns of culture? See, if you can remember, in my first slide, I said different cultural traits. Cultural traits are smallest elements. All these cultural traits, they come together to form a particular pattern. For example, if my dress or your dress has a particular pattern, it all has been woven with one single thread, no? ఇప్పుడు మనం స్వెటర్ వీట్ చేస్తాం చూడండి, దానిలో one thread is combined with so many other threads to make a fabric or to make a sweater or to make any cloth for that. The entire pattern, entire cloth is the pattern. So every society will have its own cultural pattern, and that cultural pattern is based on the values of that particular society, attitudes of those particular society, rituals and things like that. For example, today if I ask you, what was your breakfast? Em chesaru breakfast lo ee roju andaru? Divya, what did you have for breakfast? Anita, what did you have?
I had my chicken fry, rice, and dosa.
Okay. Okay. Now, if you ask the same question to an American, that what did you have in your breakfast? Yeah, Satya said idli. Very good. Very good. And I had upma today because today we have a lunch party, so lunch will be heavy. So I had upma today to keep my day lighter. So why I'm talking about this? Because what we eat, even that is part of our culture. So what we wear, what we eat, what we think, what we do, how we talk, how we interact, what's festivals we celebrate, all that is part of culture. So in cultural pattern, Ruth Benedict, Habiba Fatima had paratha. Very good. I had paratha yesterday, Fatima. So you can invite me to have paratha someday to your home.
Sure.
Just kidding. मजाक कर रही हूँ. अभी कुछ भी खाना पीना है तो ऑनलाइन ही खाना पीना है, right? So in this cultural pattern, Ruth Benedict, she's talking about two types of culture: Apollonian culture and Dionysian culture. Now, what is this Apollonian culture? Apollo is considered as the Greek sun god. Okay, and Apollonian culture is basically calm culture, composed culture. And the example is some communities in New Mexico, they reflect Apollo culture. Dionysian culture is what? Very aggressive culture and very celebrating culture, you know, and they drink, they will have carnivals. And this Dionysian culture is guided by the principle of storm, being very aggressive, being very vocal about anything. And examples are Dobu or Kwaikutil. These are all islands in and around Africa. So we see that they reflect Dionysian culture. Then Apollonian culture is culture of calm. So Ruth Benedict, what she's saying is, every cultural trait, they come together to form a particular pattern, and that pattern is the one which decides and defines us. For example, if you talk about Indian society has a particular pattern. If you talk about American society, it has a particular pattern. In India also, if I talk about Telangana culture, it has a particular pattern. If I talk about Punjabi culture, it has a particular pattern. So this culture pattern is created on the basis of our value system, what we eat, what we think, how we talk, what are our festivals, what are our customs, all these things. One small example I will give you. In Telugu states, usually marriages, we wear white sari with red border, Madhu Parkalu. Am I right? Many people must be aware. But in North Indian marriages, UP, Bihar, Punjab, please mute yourself, friends. White is not worn even after 1 year of marriage. Culture, rendu, Telangana culture, Punjabi culture or UP culture, all part of India, but in this also we have diversion. So patterns will vary from place to place, from society to society. Am I clear, friends? Any questions so far? Any questions, or should I proceed?
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah, quickly.
See, when they ask about culture, we can write about our Indian culture, everything, whatever parts we have in India, we can write everything like Punjabis wear like salwars and all, and we wear. There are lots of patterns.
No, you are asking from examination point of view what to write.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, child, from examination point of view, you can definitely give these examples, but you should use the original words like characteristics of culture, which I did in my previous class. Culture is learned, culture is transmissive, culture is integrated, cultural ethos, cultural ethos. Concepts, you have to use this. And of course, to explain these concepts, whatever you are talking about, Punjabi salwar suits or wearing Madhupar, these as examples you can definitely give. Am I clear, Anita?
Thank you.
To you? Okay. So, friends, should I proceed or any other questions or doubts?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Oh.
Ma'am, good morning, ma'am.
Okay. Afrin.
Ma'am.
Who is talking?
I'm Anita, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Tell me.
I have one doubt, ma'am. Actually, I have 2 books, ma'am. Social Anthropology and Rural and Urban Sociology, ma'am. I want to know about which topic you are teaching today, ma'am.
I'm teaching this book, child, Social Anthropology. Yes.
Yeah, okay, ma'am. Okay. I have this book. Yes, ma'am.
Fine.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So now we go to the next part of our discussion. See, why I'm hurrying up, because I'm afraid 11 o'clock suddenly they will end the meeting, and that is something I don't like. I want to end my class with peace. So definitely it doesn't mean that you shouldn't ask questions. Feel free to ask what all doubts you have. So now I go to the second part, which is theories of culture. In theories of culture, we will be talking about structuralism, functionalism, and we will begin with historical particularism. This who said that every society, every human society, they have their own unique historical factors for development, and they must be understood in their respective environment. ప్రపంచంలో ప్రతి సమాజము, ప్రతి సంస్కృతి కొన్ని హిస్టారికల్ ఫ్యాక్టర్స్ వల్ల డెవలప్ అయింది. అయితే మనము ఆ కల్చర్, ఆ సమాజానికి అర్థం చేసుకోవాలంటే ఆ పరిస్థితులకి, ఆ సందర్భంలోనే అర్థం చేసుకోగలుగుతాం మనం. Without understanding the context of anything, you will not be able to understand the issue in its completeness. So historical particularism is that cultural theory which was put by Franz Boas, and he says that every historical development has to be understood in a specific cultural and environmental context only. For example, what is India's culture? If you have to understand this, you have to see last 5,000 years how Indian history has evolved. What was Indus Valley civilization? Who were Aryans? How we were invaded by Mongols, different dynasties, Mughals came, Portuguese came, French came, and then we also had what you call almost all 200 years of British rule. So all these things, if you understand, you will understand the history of our country. So historical development in that environmental and cultural context, it has to be understood. Another very important thinker and theory is structuralism. See, friends, in sociology also we study about structuralism. So basically, what is this theory? It is structural functionalism Earlier, it was called as structural functionalism. In today's time, it is called as functionalism. See the word. Structure means different parts of the society. Function means what is the every part, what function it is playing. For example, human body. Brain has a structure, heart has a structure, abdomen has a structure, liver has a structure. All these parts have different functions also. So in this, Claude Lévi-Strauss, he is an anthropologist. He is a structural anthropologist. He is also called as father of structuralism. So what he is saying is, you can understand the structure of any society if you understand the structure of mind of the people of that society. So whatever things we are developing, right, it's somewhere or the other, its origin is mind. We don't know whether coronavirus is a natural virus or a man-made virus, but there are many proofs which are coming out which is saying that no, coronavirus is a man-made virus. So even that is the result of your thinking of your mind. Man has created, man constructed Taj Mahal also. Man constructed Eiffel Tower also. Man is creating nuclear weapons also. Man is creating hydrogen bomb also. So Lévi-Strauss, Claude Lévi-Strauss, he says that human culture is nothing but what your mind's expressions are. So if you have to understand the culture, you have to understand the human mind. And Claude Lévi-Strauss, he was very strongly influenced by Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud is a very popular psychoanalyst, friends, and he was the one who gave different layers of human thinking: unconscious, subconscious, and conscious mind. So because Sigmund Freud gave a lot of importance on unconscious mind, Strauss is saying that if you have to understand culture, you have to understand the structure of unconscious mind also. You can definitely ask me, Vinita, how do you think mind is connected with culture? Mind culture to ఏ రకంగా connected ఉందంటే, culture is created by man kada. Everything which is created by man is part of culture. So what will man create? What is there in man's mind? The logic is very simple. So our kinship system, what kind of relationships we are having? Relationships is also connected with our mind. It is connected with our ways of thinking. So our kinship system, our mythology, all this are part of mental structures. So if you understand human mind, you will understand human culture. Lévi-Strauss is saying that almost all the cultural elements, they are into binary. Binary means two. What is right? What is wrong? If you have marriage, you have marriage taboos also. If you have kinship, you have enmity also. So he is saying that every element in culture, it exists in the binary form. Binary form ante rendu oka twin laga, okati x, okati y. In a binary form, it exists. See, structural functionalism. See, friends, structural aspect means it studies the parts. What is the function of every part? That is studied by functionalism. So, ఇప్పుడు మీరు దీనిలో కన్ఫ్యూజ్ అవ్వకూడదు. What is structuralism? What is structural functionalism? What is functionalism? All these three things mean the same, but with slightly different orientation. For example, India is also called as Bharat. India is also called as Hindustan. So if I tell you Hindustan, don't ask where is Hindustan. Hindustan, Bharat, India, all are same. Similarly, structuralism, functionalism, structural functionalism, all these three are same. Nowadays, we do not call structuralism, we do not call structural functionalism, we only call functionalism. So in this, Claude Lévi-Strauss, he studied anthropological societies, tribal societies, and he preferred to call himself as structuralist. So what is this structural functionalism? It focuses on structure and functions. And there are two very important people in this connection who have contributed a lot. Brownislaw Malinowski and A.R. Radcliffe Brown. ఇప్పుడు మీరు నాతో ఇది కూడా అడగొచ్చు, వినీత, స్ట్రక్చరల్ ఫంక్షనలిజం ఓన్లీ ఆంథ్రోపాలజీలో ఉంటుందా, సోషియాలజీలో ఉండదా? నా సమాధానం ఏంటి? అన్నిట్లో ఉంటుంది. స్ట్రక్చరల్ ఫంక్షనలిజం ఇస్ వాట్? It is a kind of a theoretical perspective. So if I am saying anthropological functionalism, it means I'm focusing exclusively on tribal society. If I am saying sociological functionalism, it means I'm talking about modern societies. Am I clear, friends? Are you all understanding me?
Yes, ma'am.
Feel free, if you have any questions, any doubts, please feel free to ask. So structural functionalism or functionalism, it is the same. Only thing is, when I say anthropological functionalism, it focuses on tribal societies. So Claude Lévi-Strauss, Radcliffe Brown, Brownislaw Malinowski, all these people, they are considered as anthropological functionalist or anthropological structural functionalist. Now, sociological functionalist ever telsa? Robert Merton, Talcott Parsons. These are Emile Durkheim. These are all considered as sociological functionalists. ఒకటే తేడా ఉంది. ఆంథ్రోపాలజికల్ అంటే ట్రైబల్ సొసైటీస్ గురించి చదువుతున్నారు, సోషియాలజికల్ అంటే కంటెంపరీ సొసైటీ గురించి చదువుతున్నారు. Now, who is Brownislaw Malinowski? Brownislaw, in my previous class also I mentioned he has defined culture. I hope you can remember. So he is dividing, according to Brownislaw Malinowski's cultural theory, is dividing culture into material culture, non-material culture. In my previous class, I told you all the things, concrete things, phone, this mouse, this cup, this chunni, this specs, all this is part of material culture. Non-material culture includes our beliefs, our symbol, and he sees that every element of the culture, material or non-material, they fulfill our needs. Culture lo unna prati anshamu mana needs ki fulfill chestundi. Inka needs ఏ రకంగా fulfill అవుతాయి? సమాజంలో ఉన్న ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్ ద్వారా fulfill అవుతాయి. Every cultural element exists for satisfying human needs, and these needs are satisfied with the help of different social institutions. For example, marriage. Marriage satisfies our biological needs and our need to give birth to children. Family needs our economic needs, our psychological needs, right? Religion needs our spiritual needs. Religion is also an institution. So these needs are satisfied like food, clothing, shelter, sex, derived needs, what we derive out of our requirement. Biological, see, why institution of marriage is there? What Malinowski is saying, that to satisfy our biological needs, even that has to be done in a proper framework. And that can be done with the help of marriage as an institution. And he studied extensively about Trobriand Islanders. And according to Malinowski, the main function of culture is to, like, when he's talking about functionalism, because Brownislaw Malinowski, Radcliffe Brown, they both are structural functionalists. He's saying the role of the function is to satisfy our psychological and cultural needs. Culture exists for the satisfaction of all our physical and psychological needs. Malinowski focused more on your psychological needs. Similarly, you have Radcliffe Brown. He was also a British social anthropologist. Like Lévi-Strauss wanted to call himself structuralist, even Radcliffe Brown wants to call himself as structuralist. Why they want to call themselves as structuralists? Because they want to focus more on understanding the different parts of that society. And Radcliffe Brown, like Malinowski, was focusing on needs, on institutions. Brown is focusing on the patterns of social relationship. ఏ రకంగా రిలేషన్షిప్స్ మధ్య ఎలాంటి ప్యాటర్న్స్ ఉంది, ఒక సామాజిక వ్యవస్థలో ఎలాంటి సామాజికంగా ప్యాటర్న్స్ డెవలప్ అవుతాయి. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, మీకు నాకు జరుగుతున్న ఇంటరాక్షన్ కి ఒక ప్యాటర్న్ ఉంది. మీరు మా ఇంటికి వస్తే, లేకపోతే నేను మీ ఇంటికి వస్తే, అప్పుడు మన ఇంటరాక్షన్ ప్యాటర్న్ మారుస్తుంది, అంతే కదా. అయితే Brown tries to understand how is the social patterning of the relationship. And he's saying that social structure is arrangement of all the persons which is in a particular role and an institution. See, for example, you all and myself, we have a particular relationship. It is particularly defined by educational institution, right? Now you, your husband, or you, your children, you have a particular relationship, and that relationship is guided by family and marriage as an institution. So institutions, they provide a stability to social life. They provide a pattern to a social life. They perform very important functions, which is important for human survival. Both Malinowski and also Radcliffe Brown, they both focused a lot on doing field work, because if you have to understand tribal society, if you have to study anthropology, you will be able to do only with the help of field work. And Brown focused a lot on understanding totemism and joking relationship. Joking relationship is a kind of a kinship usage. Kinship గురించి మాట్లాడేటప్పుడు ఇంకా డీటెయిల్ గా చెప్తాను దాని గురించి. Joking relationship, in simple terms, you understand one thing. It is the relationship where there is lot of scope of joking with each other. For example, Devar Bhabhi. దేవర్కి తెలుగులో ఏమంటారు తెలీదు. భాబి అంటే వదిన, వదినతో ఇంకా మరిది వదిన మధ్య జోకింగ్ రిలేషన్షిప్ ఉంటుంది కదా. Radcliffe Brown tried to focus on understanding that joking relationship. Now you can ask me, Vinita, what is this? Anthropologists were reading only about joking relationship. But let me tell you, my dear friends, that all these kinship terms and usages, they are the foundations of our society. మీరు మీ అత్తమ్మతో ఎలా ప్రవర్తిస్తారు, అది కూడా సమాజం డిసైడ్ చేస్తుంది. మీ అత్తమ్మ మీతో ఎలా ప్రవర్తిస్తుంది, అది కూడా all that is kinship. The way you behave with your mother-in-law and the way you behave with your mother, there is a lot of difference. And he also spoke a lot about totemism. Totemism, as I told you, my dear friends, it is a form of a primitive religion where there is focus on totem. Totem is a plant or animal. Where lot of worship, they are worshipped by that particular tribal community. So Radcliffe Brown, in his structural functionalism, he tried to understand about totemism and joking relationship. In your material, these are the three other cultural theories also which have been mentioned in your study material. See, in Marxism, we know the focus is on classes. Marx says that economically powerful class, they are not only powerful economically, they are also powerful socially, politically, culturally. So according to Marxism, the ruling class, whatever the culture of the society is, it flows from ruling class, and the non-ruling class, they have to simply accept the culture of the ruling class. This is what Karl Marx said. So in Marxist theory of culture, we are saying that cultural forms always emerge in a particular situation, in a historical situation, and they also serve socio-economic interests, but they only support more the ruling class the bourgeois class, the capitalist class, and not the labor class or the working class. In postmodernism, even in this, there is some explanation of culture where we are trying to say, see, in ethnography, you must have heard about ethnography, and this the word is here also. Ethnography is one of the techniques of anthropological research, where a researcher will go to a tribal area, stay with that tribal people for a few days or few weeks, and he will do the detailed observation and write report about it. So for example, if I go to some African tribe, stay there, I will not be able to understand the culture the way they understand their culture. So postmodernism, though, what we are saying is, it is impossible to have an objective and neutral knowledge of another culture. It is not possible. For that matter, if I ask you which is the best culture in the world, what will you say, friends? Which culture is the best culture in the world? What will you say?
I talk about our Indian culture.
Yes. Because we all are Indians, we will say Indian culture is the best culture. But here we are not being objective, we are not being scientific, we are being subjective, we are being emotional. Because we are Indians, our culture is the best culture. So postmodernism, postmodern thinkers of culture, what they say is, it is not possible to see others' culture in a neutral way. If we all have our own ideas about understanding things. For example, I may give lot of importance to Batkama. I may give lot of importance to, Sankranti celebrations. I may give lot of importance to putting muggus outside my home. Rangoli. But some European person may not understand it in a similar way. And in feminism, we are trying to understand. Yes, Afrin, very right. We all have different perspectives on cultural activities. You are very right, Afrin. And in feminism, what we are saying is, earlier, most of the cultural theories, they revolved around understanding male activities. Most of the descriptions were written from a masculine perspective. The role of females were not very much explored. But after development of feminism as a theory, nowadays we see that whatever ethnographic literature is nothing but those writings which has been written by staying in tribal villages by different researchers. They are also depicting both the genders. What is the importance of the activities of males? What is the importance and role of females in that tribal community? Both is getting an equal mention. So this is what I wanted to discuss, friends. Last 3 minutes left. If you have any questions, any doubts, you want me to repeat anything, you can ask. Or if everything is clear?
Yes, ma'am. Everything is perfect, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank
fine.
you so much for the beautiful class, ma'am.
So thanks a lot. And as I've always, I'm once again sharing my mobile number, 98472. Yes, 9848727769. This is my mobile number, friends. At any point of time when you are reading your study material, if you have any doubts, you want me to explain anything again, please feel free to WhatsApp me or call me up. Okay, friends?
Okay, so thank you so much. Mobile number, ma'am?
Yeah,
9848727769.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So thank you all, friends, for sparing your very valuable time on Sunday. I know Sunday is a family day, but sometimes we are helpless. Okay. I hope you all will forgive me for that, but that is what is the format of the classes. So thanks a lot. Today we saved 2 minutes. My previous class, I felt very unhappy because it ended abruptly. And I told Ramna sir also, sir, this is not fair. I'm not at all satisfied. So please, every class take the screenshots. After the class is over, go through it. Whatever doubts are there, you can clear in the next class, or you can also share your doubts on the WhatsApp.
The faculty has done a good job. We have a video lessons after our classes also, ma'am. So we can go through all these things which you have explained it. We can go through so many times for exams also. It is very useful, ma'am.
Very good, very good. That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah, yesterday I have watched everything which we discussed about the last sessions, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Fantastic.
No problem.
Fantastic.
No problem, ma'am. We can go through about all these subjects in between period of times also.
Fantastic. That's a great thing you told me, dear. So friends, we say goodbye for today. My next class will be on Wednesday, that is 7th of July at 10 a.m. I will meet you all on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Thank you, Ambedkar host, B.R. Ambedkar Open University host. Thanks a lot for very efficient technological support. So I'm exiting, friends. Thank you so much. Have a great time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Have a great Sunday, ma'am.
Yeah, you all too. You all too. You all. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you, host.
Is this really going to work? Well-dressed man can get away with anything in this world. He's got a baby with him. He can go anywhere. 3 weeks ago, we rang the opening bell at the stock exchange. Why did you want to do that? Because we...
Hello.
Where have you been? Need you probably get rid of those filthy rabbits before the children come home. I'm being short of them. Wait, what about all the food? We're just going to leave it? Let's see it to see what they take. No, wait. I know how to deal with cranky humans who hate our guts. You leave it to the kitchen, I'll take care of her. You need me back to my book. I need terrible at foreign languages, great at passing lines. Sorry,